Welcome to our Backyard Brothers podcast, and welcome to March Madness officially. Starting today, we just had a game end just now as we started. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit. So today is all about March Madness, and both women's and men's. We'll talk about the women's a little bit as well. And our memory also deals with March Madness. It's over to Dustin to walk us through a memory.
Yeah, one of the best March Madnesses of years past and the best NCAA tournament game, 2016 March Madness. And so the tournament itself was exciting, but I want to talk specifically about the Villanova Wildcats and the season they had and the tournament they had leading up to their exciting victory over North Carolina. And so a little intro to the team. So they had the previous season in the 2014-15 year, they were the number one overall seed in the tournament and ended up losing in the third round to North Carolina State. So they returned most of their starters and transferred in one player, Eric Pascal. And then they had two significant recruits that joined the team in 2016. Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo joined the team in 2016. Both of those are large NBA names now. But so talking about this roster, so a lot of these names resonate with me. But to name several here: Jalen Brunson, Chris Jenkins, Josh Hart, Eric Pascal, Dante DiVincenzo, and Ryan Arcidiacono, Mikal Bridges. There's 5-6 players that either all went to the NBA or had significant impacts in this season. And so this was a very stacked roster. And then they had a fantastic season, losing only 4 games during the regular season. All of them to ranked opponents. They lost to number 7 Oklahoma, number 8 Virginia, number 16 Providence, and number 5 Xavier. They won every single other game. And then in the Big East tournament, they took out Georgetown, took out Providence, and then actually lost in the Big East tournament to Seton Hall. So they ended up with a number 2 seed in the East Division in the NCAA tournament. And they were basically unstoppable throughout this tournament. Beat their first round matchup against UNC Asheville by 30 points. Then took out number 7 Iowa by 19 points. And then took down number 10 Miami by 33 points. And then, what was that?
Number 3 Miami.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
number 3.
Number 3 Miami. Yes, you're right. Number 3 Miami by 33 points. And then faced off against number 1 Kansas, the number 1 seed in their division, had a close game, won by 5 points, before going to the Final Four and facing number 2 Oklahoma, where they won by 44 points. And then they went to the national championship against North Carolina, and it was not a blowout. It was close the entire way. They were they had a good halftime lead. No, they were down at halftime by 8 points. Were able to make a comeback. But the exciting thing was, with just 3 seconds left, passed it in to Arcidiacono, takes it up the court and just passes it backwards to Chris Jenkins, who shoots it from about 35 feet and scores a 3-pointer at the buzzer to win 77-74. One of the most exciting national championship games in recent history. But this Villanova team, coached by Jay Wright, is historic. And the number of players they sent to the NBA draft, their historic tournament run, and how they're just blowing out teams. And then, of course, this historic national championship game. And so I don't know if you guys have watched any of the highlights or any thoughts you have, but turn it over to you at this point to talk about that.
I remember that game well. And that tournament well. That was 2016. And believe it or not, the day that national championship was on was the day that I was at my father-in-law's house, telling my father-in-law that I was going to marry his daughter. That very same day, and so watching it with him, like it would seem a little awkward at first watching it with your soon-to-be father-in-law the day you told him that, hey, I'm going to marry your daughter. And anyway, it was fun though. He was a big sports fan too, and we loved watching that while my future wife and his daughter is in another room, and I'm just with my future father-in-law. But anyway, that was such a fantastic game. I remember that buzzer beater, and both of us just coming off the couch in amazement that he made that and ended the game that way. And Dustin, you mentioned all of those players that went to the NBA from Villanova. The one guy that didn't is the guy that made that shot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Pretty crazy how it works out that way. I don't have a ton to add, but definitely in watching the highlights, it was certainly exciting. It looked like for the last like minute 30, they were within 5, and it stayed that way, until that buzzer beater was hit. And just the kind of nonchalant back pass that guy did was interesting to me. You don't see that kind of handoff pass all that often, leading to such a that type of game finishing shot. But overall, it was a really good game. North Carolina was really good that year, and so pretty impressive for Villanova to pull that out for the second season, right? That they had visited the national championship, right?
No, they had lost in the Sweet 16 the year before.
Oh,
This was their first national championship visit.
Well, they had won a national championship in 1984, 85, yeah.
Oh,
and
okay.
This is their first time back, yeah.
Long stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thanks for filling that in for me. Yeah, I think that's all I would really add. Is it was a good memory pick and interesting game and incredible finish for sure.
Yeah, I also don't have a whole lot to add. First off, I appreciate Dustin you saying who were big names and who wasn't. For those who don't know, like you're saying these names, I'm like, all right, who are these people?
Jalen Brunson is
superstar.
Yeah, superstar. One of the, I don't know, put him in the top 5 or top 10, but I'd say top 10 best players in the NBA right now.
Okay, I was gonna say that's the one name I do recognize is Brunson. The Djokovic or whatever you said, I don't recognize that name.
now.
Okay,
and he only played for a year too.
Bless you.
Yeah, exactly right. But either way, the fact of the matter is it doesn't discredit that they're good players, and I recognize that. So, I was not even home yet from my church mission that I was on, so I didn't watch that game live. I've watched the highlights several times, and honestly, I've forgotten about the highlights until now. You mentioned it, but I've seen it before. And I do remember that pass, that shot, and I think we've talked about it before on the podcast about that. These are the kinds of moments. It doesn't matter what sport it is, but okay.
Love you too, Dustin. You weirdo.
I love you too, Dustin. Thank you.
I think we're a little past. Valentine's Day, but I think you might still be wearing St. Patty's Day if you're sending us hearts. You all right over there?
Yeah.
It was like the little thing was up on my screen, and I was trying to figure out how to go away, and I clicked on it, and
sorry,
it went away.
I'm blushing.
Yeah, successfully.
Well, what I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted with hearts, is we mentioned it on the podcast before, is that it doesn't really matter what sport it is, but it's moments like that, the big game and a last second kind of shot or last second just point made, whatever it is, are the things that just make fans thrive, make the sport thrive, make you want to come back to see more. So shout out to the legendary Villanova team for instilling just the love of the sports in so many people.
Good.
You're muted, Scott.
My bad. I said good memory. It's a great memory. Okay, let's dive into some college basketball. We're going to start just looking briefly at the women's tournament and going from there. Remember, last year was the big year for women's college basketball with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all of them. It's not been quite as popular this year, but I think Caitlin Clark has forever changed women's college basketball popularity, but it's still just not necessarily the same as it was back then, just a year ago. So can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so this is UCLA is the number 1 overall seed over here. And you can see as we go down, these are the matchups. Want to point out a couple of teams: Grand Canyon at 32-2, Harvard at 24-4. NC State is the number 2 seed there. Anything on this anyone wants to point out?
Was it UCLA that, or no? Who was it that ended USC's, or not USC, South Carolina streak?
It was UConn.
UConn
did that. Mhm.
And they're not in here.
Well, they're not in this bracket, but they're here.
Oh, this bracket. Okay. This is just one side of it. Sorry.
This is one quadrant. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. So let's move across. Here's South Carolina. They've actually lost 3 games this year, 30-3. They're the number 2 overall seed. Duke is also really good in women's college basketball. They're number 2 seed down here. Norfolk State at 30-4. Here's your Utes, Cody, up there at number 8 seed. Anything over here, guys?
Utah versus Indiana is interesting for the pod.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's also interesting that, looking at their records, Utah 22-8 against 19-12. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like a vast difference, but I guess it's not. It's only like 3-4. So, but yeah, it's different. I would expect them to be closer in record, being an 8 and 9 seed.
Yeah.
Seems like Indiana's football team got their basketball team into this tournament. How do you do that? I mean, there's one other team with more losses in the tournament, right? Oregon State, at least on this side of the bracket.
Yeah, and remember, there's automatic qualifiers. If you go like 2-28 in the regular season, but still win your conference tournament, you get an automatic bid.
That's insane.
That doesn't happen very often because when you're 2-28, you're a horrible basketball team. So,
right.
But it's a chance. So moving down, Texas is the number 3 overall seed. They're 31-3. TCU down here, it's same record, 31-3. Tennessee is always a really good women's college team.
Something's in the water at Montana State, though.
Yeah.
Montana 30-3. No kidding.
Yeah, they should be. That's probably because they're Montana State. That's why they're seeded so high, right?
Yeah.
Or low, I guess, however you want to look at it.
14 seed against Notre Dame. What's SFA?
It's Stephen F. Austin.
Oh, okay.
It's in Texas.
Stone Cold School Hard Knock. Sorry, stupid joke.
And FDU is Fairleigh Dickinson.
Oh, okay.
That's in New Jersey.
Wasn't the men's FDU team a few years ago? Like, didn't they upset someone as a 16th seed or something?
I think so. Mm-hmm. Okay, last bracket here. USC is the number 4 overall seed at 28-3. There's your UConn team, the number 2 seed, 31-3 down here. Florida Gulf Coast. They were one of those men's teams that had a great Cinderella run as a 15 seed a few years ago. Women's team is pretty dang good at 30-3. So yeah.
So far, this seems like. Go ahead.
I think here with the women's tournament, the top 8 teams, the ones and the 2s in each region all have a really good chance of getting to this national championship game. It's with this tournament, I think could be, it's easy to say it's either a 1 or a 2 that's probably going to make it there. but it's hard to bet against either South Carolina or UCLA. I think those two teams are likely to be the favorites. 30% will choose those teams.
I would say 1 here, UCLA, UConn down there. I'm going to say Notre Dame 3 there, and South Carolina 1 up there. And how about you guys, Dustin, Cody, Yancey? Who's going from here? Is it all UCLA?
In this side of the bracket, I like UCLA. I like LSU to make a run that we may not expect, and maybe Florida State unexpectedly. Those are the only teams I think would, but I definitely see UCLA being the majority dominant team in this bracket. So, I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, who's on this line for each of us?
UCLA, LSU for me.
Yeah, just this one line, the final 4.
Oh, just one team, UCLA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. UCLA for me too.
Yeah,
Dustin.
UCLA for me as well.
Yeah, I want to choose someone else, but I'm going to go with UCLA.
Okay. Over here, same question. I already said South Carolina for me, the top seed over here too. What about the rest of you guys?
Yeah, South Carolina.
Yes. Yeah, I'll agree.
I just want to say Utah for the fun of it. I'm going to say Utah.
Okay, that's fair. Down here, I'm going away from number 1 seed. I'm taking Notre Dame, the 3 seed here.
I'm going to go TCU there.
Let's keep it diverse. I'll go Texas. We'll go another 1 seed again.
I hate to go chalk, but I'm also saying Texas.
Okay.
I like Notre Dame. I would like for Notre Dame to get there, but my sports brain just says it's not going to happen.
Down here, I've said number 2 UConn on this line.
My upset team's Kentucky, number 4.
Okay. Dustin, Cody.
I'm gonna go UConn there.
I'm going to side with Yancey with my soon-to-be alma mater, Kentucky.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
All right, and so for me, I've got UCLA against UConn. I'm taking the upset. UConn winning that game. Yancey, you've got UCLA against Kentucky. Both Cody and Yancey have that matchup. So one of you two go first. UCLA, UConn. UCLA, Kentucky.
Cats are going to upset them. Let's go UK.
I love that, but I'm going to say UCLA.
Okay. And Dustin, you had my same matchup too. UCLA, UConn.
I'll put UCLA there.
Okay. On this side, I have South Carolina and Notre Dame. I am taking South Carolina. Yancey, you had South Carolina and Texas. So did you, Dustin? Both of you. What did you say?
Taking the underdog in both. Hook 'em horns.
Okay. Dustin?
I'll say South Carolina.
Okay. And Cody, you had South Carolina, right? No, you had Utah. You had Utah and TCU, former or the Big 12 rivalry.
Yeah, I'm going TCU in that one.
Okay. So for the national championship game, I have that rematch between UConn and South Carolina. And I am taking South Carolina to get revenge. Yancey, you have Kentucky and Texas. SEC rivalry.
Man, as much as I want Kentucky to win, they're not going to, so Texas.
Okay. Dustin, you have UCLA and South Carolina, right?
Yeah, I'll say South Carolina.
And Cody, TCU, and
UCLA.
UCLA.
I'm taking the upset. TCU's going to win that one.
Cool. All right. We will check in on that over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to stop share this one and share the next one. I hope it's in the right spot. I think it is. Okay. These are the first 4 games. And I have a little bit about each game. We've already seen this first one. Alabama State against St. Francis was a great game. Alabama State were 9-14, and then they won 10 of their next 11 games to get here. St. Francis is in March Madness for the first time since 1991, and I believe Alabama State just pulled off a 2-point win in that game.
Yes.
So, we all get that one right. Good job, everyone. The next one tonight, San Diego State. They are number 3 in points allowed. They are a great defensive team. They allow just 32% shooting from inside the arc. That's one of the best they did in a game, against Houston, which they lost in overtime. They forced 12 turnovers. Houston is one of the best teams in the country. North Carolina, they were the final team chosen this year to go into this tournament. So that's not normal for UNC. So San Diego State and North Carolina. We're starting with you, Dustin. You're first up here. Who do you got?
North Carolina.
Okay. I'm next. I'm actually taking San Diego State. Yancey.
We're picking the overall winner.
Just between these two here, San Diego State and UNC.
Ooh, North Carolina.
Okay, Cody.
Splitting it, San Diego State.
Cool. All right, tomorrow's games. American. That center is a certified sharpshooter, 41% from 3 at 6'9". Mount St. Mary's. He was the head coach of VCU when the Rams went to the Final Four back in 2011. So he has, from the first 4 to the Final Four, he's done it before. So can he do it with Mount St. Mary's at a 16 seed though? We're going to keep doing this. I'm going to take American though in that one. Yancey.
I'm going to start by saying American Eagles sounds like a team name made up from someone who doesn't live in America. I root for American Eagle, yay!
I was gonna say, it sounds like a team we would have created in Madden when we were 13 years old.
Right.
Yeah, we
The
might
American
have, actually.
Eagles.
Go Eagles! So I think that the Mountaineers will pull that away. That 6'9" guy shooting so well will pull them through.
That would be American for that 6'9" center.
Oh, 6'9". The 6'9" center shoots at 41% from 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to pick American then.
Okay. Cody?
First off, isn't American Eagle isn't it like a T-shirt?
It's a brand, yeah.
Okay.
It is definitely a brand.
Okay, yeah. I'm actually going Mount St. Mary's, the Mountaineers.
Okay, Dustin.
I'll also go with the Mountaineers. 47 is better than 41.
Oh, there you go.
That's their whole team, though, right?
Orlando's Keys is the star, shooting 47%
okay.
from 3. What
position does he play?
Not center.
Right.
I don't know. Okay, the last of the first 4. Texas only went 6-12 in the SEC, but they won multiple games in the SEC tournament, convincing the committee that they should be in there. They have a lottery pick on their team, Trey Johnson, 20 points per game, 40% from 3. He'll be a lottery pick in this next draft, so he's a star. That can be a handful for any guy, any opponent. Xavier won 7 straight games to end the regular season in order to get to the big dance. They are one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. They shoot 39% as a team from 3. That's really, really good. So over to Yancey. You're first.
Initially, I want to say Texas would take that, but I'm going to go by the numbers and say Xavier wins.
Okay, Cody.
I think Xavier's going to win that by 20 points.
I am also on the X train. Dustin?
Yeah, I don't think Texas belongs in the tournament. Xavier.
Okay. Maybe I should I'm gonna do this differently here, so I'm not sound of rustling papers isn't everywhere. Spread these out a little bit. Good thing I have a big desk. Okay, moving on. So this is the top left portion of the bracket and the upper half of the top left portion of the bracket. Starting with the number 1 overall seed, the Auburn Tigers. They finished the regular season 4-3. So they kind of stumbled to the end there, but they still defeated 6 top 15 teams to get that number 1 overall seed. Johnny Broom is a Wooden Award finalist. You can see 19 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks per game. The guy dominates. He's a sure lottery pick, probably a top 3 pick in this coming draft. And they're going against the winner of Alabama State and St. Francis. Tell me right now if anyone is going to pick Alabama State, because now we know it's ASU that's going to be playing Auburn. Technically, we're starting with you, Cody.
Auburn.
It might be early, but grab your broom, Auburn.
Dustin, you said Auburn too, right? Okay, no one actually picks a 16 to beat a 1. It just happens, right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
I was going to say, watch Alabama State upset them now.
Yeah. Well, the number 1 overall seed has been beaten before by the number 16 seed.
2 times.
Twice. Yeah. So, okay. The 8-9 seed, Louisville went 8-24 last year. They have one of the best turnarounds ever. They from 8-24 to 27-7 under a new head coach. They have a top 30 offense and defense. Going against Creighton, Big East Defensive Player of the Year, Ryan Kalkbrenner has now won the award all 4 years he's been at Creighton. The Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East. He ties Patrick Ewing for that mark. So Creighton's 5th straight tournament appearance. Over to Dustin. Louisville and Creighton.
I think Louisville deserves a higher seed than 8. Louisville wins.
I think that's an impressive turnaround. I have to agree with Dustin and go with Louisville there.
I'm actually taking Creighton to upset that one. As much as a 9/8 is an upset. Cody?
Funny, so far I've made 2 brackets, and I think I have each one in each one. So here I'm going to say Creighton. I'm going to split it.
Okay. 5-12, Michigan. They have a guy named Vladislav Goldin. 17.7 rebounds, 2 blocks. Danny Wolf. They're a pair of 7-footers that lead this. They have the Twin Towers over here. Lead the Wolverines offense, but their season took a turn. In the final 3 weeks, they made just 22% of their 3-point attempts over the last couple of weeks. Against UC San Diego, look at that record. They're 30-4. They lost their last game on January 19th. They haven't lost since. They're on a 15-game winning streak. That's the longest in the country. They're number 1 in steals in the entire country, 10 per game, 10 steals per game. As a team, that's number 1. So watch out. This is a potential team that can throw an upset here. We're starting with me. I really want to see this upset, but I don't have the balls to pick it. Sorry. So Michigan.
I've always had the balls to do stupid stuff. Let's go, San Diego.
Okay, Cody.
I'm just feeling it. I'm gonna side with the NC. I'm gonna go 12 UC San Diego.
Okay, Dustin.
I do agree that Michigan's vulnerable, but I think that Michigan will pull out the victory. Probably a close one.
Yeah. The only reason, and I should have said this at the beginning, I think that Michigan is a bad matchup with their length and height. And so that's the only reason I think UC San Diego could pull an upset against most teams, but Michigan's height is not one of them.
I think those steals will come into play against those 2 big guys.
Yeah. Okay, the 4-13 matchup, Texas A&M. They only went 11-7 in the SEC. They included 4 straight losses, but they also beat Auburn, which is the number 1 overall seed in this tournament. They also beat LSU. They're the nation's top offensive rebounding team. They get 16.2 offensive rebounds per game as a team. That's number 1 in the country. Yale, number 13, secured its 3rd berth in 4 seasons. They have the Ivy League Player of the Year, and he's not even their top scorer. They have 3 guys who average double figures in Yale. So over to Yancey.
Aggies are gonna pull this out, even though Yale has a better record. I think they're gonna do it pretty handedly, like 12 points or more. A&M wins.
Cody?
I do agree that the Aggies are going to win, but I think it's going to be within 10 points.
Dustin?
I'll take the upset here. Go Yale.
I think those offensive rebounds are going to come into play here. I'm going to take A&M. Okay. Whoops. The bottom half of that upper left. Ole Miss, top 30 in offense and defense, entering their first tournament since 2019. They also have one of the smaller teams in the field. I don't think they have a single player over 6'7" on their team. But they also lead the country in fewest turnovers, 8.9 per game. They do not turn the ball over. And then they play the winner of San Diego State, North Carolina, which is about to start right now. So we're over to Cody.
So then for me, it's going to be what I'm predicting is Ole Miss and San Diego State, right? I think so.
Yes.
Between them. Well, this is how I feel. I feel like if it's against San Diego State, San Diego's going to win. But if it gets North Carolina, Ole Miss is going to win. So how do I say it?
Well, you've picked San Diego State, so pick San
San
Diego
Diego
State.
State's going to win. 11 seed.
Okay. Dustin.
Many of my brackets, I have North Carolina doing this upset, but I think looking at those turnovers, I think if Ole Miss can control the ball, they'll win. So Ole Miss.
Okay. I am also taking SDSU. I think San Diego State's defense is going to give them problems. Again, provided that they win tonight. North Carolina could win, and then it's a different story. But I'm taking 11 seed as well. Yancey?
I'm on Dustin's team here. We're going to split it down. Ole Miss.
Okay. All right, the 3 and 14. Iowa State started the season 15-1, but then things changed. They've gone 8-7 since. They slipped to 69th in offense, and they turned the ball over on 20% of their possessions in the last couple of weeks. And their biggest star is out for the whole tournament because of an injury. So Iowa State's in trouble. But are they in trouble with Lipscomb is the question here. Lipscomb is in the tournament for the 2nd time ever in school history. They have been red hot since February 1st. They've made 57% of their shots inside the arc, 41% from beyond it. Dustin?
Close, but Iowa State.
My turn. I'm also going to take Iowa State here. It's going to be close. Cody? Yancey?
Bisons are going to pull this out, even though I've never heard of them.
And it really bothers me that it's Bisons, because bison is plural already. So
Right, you can't really have bisons, right?
So that really bothers me. It makes me worried about their education over there.
Yeah, right. Hold on, this is a college.
Sounds like their school director needs to go to college. And maybe a different college.
Cody?
I'm saying Iowa State.
Okay. All right. 7 and 10. Marquette forces 14.8 turnovers and gives up 9.3. Those are both top 12 in the country. So they turn the ball over a lot from other teams, or they force a lot of turnovers and they don't give the ball up. So that's usually a good way to win. New Mexico, Richard Pitino, who is the son of Rick Pitino, obviously, won Mountain West Conference Coach of the Year. They're in the tournament for the first time in a decade. They have a couple of really good players. Donovan Dent, 20 points per game. Nelly Jr. Joseph, 14 points, 11 rebounds. So Marquette and New Mexico. We're over to, I lost my place. It's me. And this is a tough one. but I am going to take Marquette. Yancey?
That is a tough pick. I think I disagree. I'm going to go New Mexico Lobos.
Okay, Cody?
I'm going over to Marquette.
And Dustin?
I'll split it, New Mexico.
All right, and 215, Michigan State. This is a fun story. 25 years ago, Jason Richardson. Everyone know who that is, maybe except Cody. But bright-eyed freshman on this 2000 Michigan State team that won the whole national title. We want to feel old. His son, Jace, is now the best player for the Spartans. He's averaging 16.8 points per game. He's a first-round prospect in the NBA. The Spartans are really good, despite only shooting 30% from three. And the Bryant Bulldogs, they defeated opponents by 12.8 points per game, holding them to 68.7. So Michigan State against Bryant. We're over to Yancey.
As impressive as that defense is for the Bryant Bulldogs, were they really playing teams like Michigan State? I doubt that. Let's go Spartans. They're gonna beat them down, I think.
Cody?
Michigan State.
Dustin?
Sparty.
And I'm sweeping that one. Okay, let's stay in this bracket and finish out this bracket. It's going to be a little bit different for each of us, but we're going to start where we started this whole thing. Dustin, Auburn and Louisville. Take it away.
Again, I said that Louisville is sneaky. I'm gonna call the upset there. Louisville takes down Auburn.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Continuing with you, Dustin. Michigan and Yale.
Michigan.
Ole Miss and Iowa State.
That one's Ole Miss.
And New Mexico and Michigan State.
Sparty.
Okay, we'll return to you in a second here. Over to me, Auburn and Creighton. I think it's going to be really close, a lot closer for comfort, but Auburn is still going to pull that one out. Michigan and A&M. I'm taking Michigan. San Diego State, Iowa State. San Diego State is dancing to the Sweet 16. Marquette and Michigan State. I'm taking Sparty. So Yancey, you're up with Auburn and Louisville.
You know, I side with Dustin here again. Cards.
All right. And then your Cinderella 12 seed, UC San Diego against A&M.
A&M.
Ole Miss and another Cinderella 14 seed Lipscomb.
Not gonna happen there. Rebels.
And New Mexico and Sparty.
Same train of thought. Sparty takes it.
I just wrote Sparty. Okay, Cody, Auburn and Creighton.
Between those, I'm going to say Auburn.
UC San Diego and A&M.
A&M.
San Diego State and Iowa State.
All right, I need a little clarification here first. So Iowa State, you said there's a few things going on wrong with them right now, right?
You can see right on the screen here that they've gone 8-7 in their last 15 games. They turned the ball over 1/5 of the time, and they're missing their best player.
Is he out for the whole season, like the rest of the
He's
season?
out for the rest of the tournament, yes.
That's why I put the Bisons over him.
Man, I really want to say Iowa State, but I'm going to go San Diego State then.
Okay, and Marquette and Michigan State.
I'm gonna call an upset there with Marquette.
Okay, back to you, Dustin, to finish out this side. Louisville and Michigan. That's a rematch of a national championship game right there.
Yeah. I'm going to say Louisville. I'm betting on them. They're going to be my Cinderella.
Okay, Ole Miss and Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Okay, and then to the Final Four, either Louisville or Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Okay. For me, I actually have Michigan upsetting Auburn here to go to the Elite Eight, and I have Michigan State ending the Cinderella run, and then I also have therefore a Michigan versus Michigan State Elite Eight game. That's a rivalry right there.
You made a state happy with that pick.
and I have Michigan State also winning that one. Yancey, Louisville, and A&M.
Louisville.
And Ole Miss and Michigan State.
State.
Okay, and then Louisville and Michigan State for the bracket championship.
State.
All of us have Michigan State so far. Cody, Auburn, and A&M.
Auburn.
And San Diego State and Marquette.
Marquette.
And then you have Auburn and Marquette.
Auburn.
Okay. So we have 1-1 and 3 2s in that. Okay. Moving on. We're going top right now. Duke is the number 2 overall seed. John Shire has found a way to win with one of America's youngest teams. They have 4 freshmen in their starting lineup. And Cooper Flagg is probably going to win the Wooden Award. 18.9 points, 7.5 rebounds, 4.1 assists. He turned 18 2 weeks ago. The guy is an insane player. So they're trying to win their first title in 10 years, I think, now, against the winner of American and Mount St. Mary's tomorrow. We're going to start with me on this bracket, and I am taking Duke by about 45. Yancey.
Duke.
Cody.
Duke.
And Dustin.
First of all, I'm saying Duke, but like I know you talked about Cooper Flagg there. You didn't quite do him justice. He's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft, and he's one of those generational players coming out of Duke. Mm-hmm. This guy is absolutely fantastic. You know, you go watch some of his mm-hmm. highlights. This guy can play basketball.
Yeah, if I can add
numbers.
If I can add to that too, the guy is about a 6'9" point guard. So he's a Magic Johnson kind of player. So okay. 8 and 9, Mississippi State. They're in their 3rd straight NCAA tournament. They don't really have any spectacular wins on the resume, but Josh Hubbard is their leading scorer. He scored 25 or more points in 6 games this season. He can go off at any moment. Against Baylor, they should have it all. They have so many great players. I think they're a top 3 recruiting class this year, but just hasn't worked out for whatever reason. They have a projected top 5 pick on their roster, VJ Edgecombe. They have an abundance of talent, but for whatever reason, they've gone 19 and 14. So, Yancey, Mississippi State and Baylor.
Let's go Mississippi State.
Okay. Cody.
I'm actually calling that Baylor's going to win this one.
Dustin?
I'll say Baylor too.
That's 3 of us because I have Baylor too.
Oh, wow. I was thinking I was going to be the only one.
All right. The number 5 Ducks. As it says here, Oregon doesn't have many sexy metrics, but they had enough wins to get this number 5 seed. Including wins over Alabama and Texas A&M. So they've won some pretty good games. Liberty, the number 6 3-point shooting team in the country. They shoot 39% from beyond the arc, and they make almost 11 per game. So they shoot a lot of them too. So that's pretty big. Starting with Cody. And the 5-12 is always that matchup where you get at least one.
It is. It's kind of always a trickier one than it should be. But in this case, I think I'm going to stick with Oregon.
Okay. Dustin.
Yeah, I'll also say Oregon. You know, Liberty's been here multiple years in a row, and I don't think they've won their matchup yet.
Mm-hmm. Jeez. I'm actually taking Liberty on this one. Yancey?
Split the diff. I'm with Scott. Liberty has a better record, and I think they're going to pull out the upset.
Okay. 4-13, Arizona. This is the roller coaster of the season. They started the season 4-5, rattled off 13 wins in 14 games, and now have lost 5 of their last 8 again. So they just up and down the whole. They're streaky. In their current slump, they've made just 29% of their threes. So against Akron, they've lost only 1 game since December 30th. They're 21-1 at that time. They've made 60% of their shots inside the arc. That's number 3 in the country, and 38% of their 3-point attempts. They're pretty dang hot right now too. Dustin.
I've taken Akron in many of my brackets, so Akron again.
I'm taking Akron here too. I have a 12 versus 13 in the second round. So, Yancey.
Yeah, we might do the same thing there, Akron.
Okay, Cody.
I'm going Arizona.
Okay.
Too many losses to support that number 4 for me. I agree that they're usually a better team there, but
they're only
double the losses.
They're only the number 4 seed because they went to the Big 12 championship game. They lost it, but they still went all the way to it. But,
yeah, whoop-de-doo. They had a crap season.
The fact
it was
that
okay.
In my opinion, the fact that you can get to the conference championship game in what's probably arguably the best conference in basketball in college basketball says something by itself. So that's a lot.
Okay. 6-11 BYU. Kevin Young's first season. He was a Suns assistant coach last year. They were the number 1 offense for the better part of last month. They shot 61.2% from inside the arc, 39.2% from 3. Richie Saunders is one of the dark horse NBA contenders. He is playing really, really well. 16 points, 44% from 3. BYU is a dangerous team. So is VCU, though. This is a tough matchup for both teams. Ryan Odom was the coach of UMBC when they beat Virginia, the 16 over the 1. So he's now the head coach of VCU. The Rams have held its opponents to 44.7% inside the arc. That's 11th in the country. So good offense versus good defense, just what you want to see in a college basketball game. I think it's me. I think it's going to be really close, and I think it's going to be a battle and a low-scoring game, and I think BYU is going to pull it out. Yancey?
I actually agree with you. I would normally pick the lower team with the better record here, but I think BYU has a pretty impressive offense, and I think it's going to overpower VCU.
Cody?
Now, before I give an answer, BYU has the number 1 player in the nation, right? The recruit.
Next
What
year.
was his name?
Next year.
Oh, okay, that's next year. Okay.
Yeah, they've signed the number 1 recruit. I forget his name though.
Yeah.
All I know is they gave him $7 million. So. All right. So I'm gonna say, VCU is always really good. So this is a hard one. Yeah. I think I'll stick with BYU as well.
Okay, Dustin.
I'm saying BYU. Saunders is good, but I think that in this game it's going to be all about that big Polynesian middle,
the big dude, yeah,
or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 3-14 Wisconsin. John Tanye. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's an All-American. They're 17th nationally in turnover rate. They did lose 3 of their last 5 games, but they went on a run to get the Big Ten title game. They are number 1 in the country in free throw percentage as a team, 82.8%. So don't foul them; they will make them all. And Montana have won 14 of their past 15 games. Their starting lineup, 125.7 points per 100 possessions. The Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA aren't that good. So Montana has been really, really good. Over to Cody. No, wait, Yancey.
Good.
This is a tough pick. I'm gonna, man, I really like those numbers for Montana, but I don't think they're gonna overcome Wisconsin. I'm gonna pick the Badgers.
Okay, Cody.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to say Montana.
Dustin.
I'm saying Wisconsin. Montana's numbers are good, but try doing that against a team that's fast and long. It's not going to work.
That's kind of where I thought about it.
I say that's what they're going to do. I'm taking Montana as well here, 14-3. For me, it's the biggest upset of the tournament. So, okay, St. Mary's, number 7. They have a top 15 defense in the NCAA and a trio of award winners: West Conference Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Sixth Man of the Year. All in the West Coast Conference. St. Mary's has been really good, 28-5. Vanderbilt at number 10. Their wins depend on prolific scoring from Jason Edwards, 17 points per game. Defense has been a problem, the worst defense in the SEC from Vanderbilt, but they've won 20 games. So over to Cody.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with St. Mary's in this one.
Dustin?
I'm also going to say St. Mary's.
Gales. Go Gales. Nancy?
Go Gales, I guess.
Let's go, Gales.
Come on, let's go, Gales.
2, Alabama. They play at the fastest pace in America. They lead the country in scoring, 91.1 points per game. They go up and down the court, and I think they have had the fastest pace for 4 years in a row now. They just go up and down the court. However, they also allow the number 5 most points in the country, 81.4. That just comes with the territory of going up and down the court, though, sometimes. They're really hard to outscore, I'll tell you that. Robert Morris, they're into the tournament for the first time in 10 years. They have a current 10-game winning streak. Dustin?
Bama.
I am also on Bama. Roll Tide. Yancy?
Took the words right out of my mouth. Bama.
And Cody?
What's that?
What did you say, Cody?
Sorry. Sorry. Alabama.
Okay. All right. Starting with me, and I'm just going to go all the way through them this time. Duke and Baylor. I'm taking Duke. Liberty and Akron. I'm taking Akron. BYU and Montana. I'm taking BYU. St. Mary's and Bama. I'm actually taking St. Mary's. So pull that upset. I think their defense is good. I'm taking Duke to destroy Akron, and I'm taking BYU in the Elite Eight. And then I'm taking Duke to wipe the floor with the Cougars. Yancy, Duke and Mississippi State.
Duke.
Liberty and Akron.
Akron.
BYU and Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
St. Mary's and Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Cody, Duke and Baylor.
I honestly, I think it's going to be a close game, but I will take Duke.
Oregon and Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Former Pac-12 match rivalry.
Yeah. That's a hard one, honestly. Oregon.
BYU and Montana.
BYU.
St. Mary's and Alabama.
Alabama.
Okay. Duke and Oregon. Oh, and I forgot to do the rest of yours, Nancy. I'll do it in a second. Duke and Oregon, Cody.
Duke.
BYU and Alabama.
Alabama.
And Duke and Alabama.
Alabama.
Ooh. Okay, back to you, Yancy. Duke and Akron.
Duke.
And Wisconsin and Alabama.
Bama.
And then Duke and Bama.
Duke.
Okay, Dustin. Duke and Baylor.
That's Duke.
Oregon and Akron.
I'll say Oregon there.
BYU and Wisconsin.
I'd also say BYU taking that win.
St. Mary's and Alabama.
Oh, I'm going to say St. Mary's in that one.
Ooh.
Duke and Oregon.
That's Duke.
BYU and St. Mary's, West Coast Conference rivalry from the past.
BYU will win that one.
We have almost the same bracket, Dustin.
Okay.
Duke and BYU. I also have that matchup.
Yeah, Duke.
Yeah, and I have the same result. Okay, halfway through with half an hour to go. Okay, we're going bottom right. Houston. In Kelvin Sampson's 5 seasons that he's been there, this is the best offensive team he's had. That's dangerous because they've always been really good defensively. LJ Cryer, 18 points, 43% from 3. They finished 19-1 in the Big 12. They lost 1 game the entire season in the Big 12, and they lost just once after November 30th. They are hot. Southern Illinois, Edwardsville. I didn't know there was such a school, but there is. They are in their first tournament appearance in school history, so they've already made history here. That's good because it's probably going to be very short-lived.
Yeah.
Over to Yancey. You start.
Houston.
Cody?
I think it's going to be Houston by, I'm going to guess, 50 points.
Dustin?
Yeah, they may make history again in the bad way.
Yeah, I think so too. Houston. Okay, that 8-9. Gonzaga. You don't see Gonzaga being an 8 seed very often, but this has been a down year for the Zags. They still rallied to win the West Coast Conference. They beat St. Mary's in the West Coast Conference tournament for the 20th time that they've won the West Coast Conference under Mark Few. They still rank in the top 15 in 2-point shooting and have a top 30 defense. Georgia has projected first-round pick Asa Newell. He's 19 years old but can play anywhere on the court. They did beat St. John's, they beat Kentucky, and they beat Florida this season, so they are dangerous. The 2 G's, Gonzaga and Georgia. Cody, you're up first.
I think it will be close, but I think the Zags are going to win it.
Dustin?
It's crazy that 25-8 is a down year.
Right.
Most teams would love to have that record. But having said that, I think that Georgia's going to pull that one out.
I'm also picking the Zags. Yancey?
I think we're leaving Dustin alone here. Let's go Gonzaga.
Okay. 5-12. Clemson has won 14 of its last 15 games, including one over Duke. So they have 4 starters who average double figures. Chase Hunter shoots 41% from 3. Ian Shefflin, Victor Larkin, and Jaden Zachary. McNeese Cowboys. Former LSU coach Will Wade has restored his career, 2nd consecutive berth in the tournament. They have a Player of the Year, Javon Garcia, and a Defensive Player of the Year, Christian Schumatt. I want to make this a Cinderella team for a team that's gone 27-6, the same record as Clemson. Dustin.
Clemson.
Go Tigers. Yancey?
Yeah, I don't see anything in McNeese's. I just don't see it. Go Clemson.
Cody?
I do think it's going to be a close team or a close game, but it will be Clemson.
Okay. And 4-13, Purdue. Obviously, they were the number 1 overall seed last turn. Or no, they were a number 1 seed, but obviously lost Wooden Award winner Zach Edey. But they now have the Big Ten Player of the Year, Braden Smith, who's one of the best guards in the country at point guard. They're right back where they belong, 22-11. Against High Point, who have won 14 straight games, shooting 60% from 2, 37% from 3. They're a pretty hot team right now, too. So over to Dustin. No, wait, it's me, isn't it? It is me. Wait, I have no idea. Whatever.
I went first this past time. So.
Okay, so it's me. I am taking Purdue. Yancey.
It's not just a gun you throw in the river. It's a team that's going to beat Purdue. High Point.
What?
It's a really cheap gun. You could look it up. You might as well throw a brick at somebody. Which high points are actually good for? Sorry.
Cody?
Yeah, I think it's Purdue. I don't think it'd be close at all, honestly.
And Dustin.
I'll also say Purdue.
Okay. Bottom half of this bracket, Illinois, they lost every single key player from last year's Elite Eight team, but they're back in another top 15 offensive performance. So they're back where they belong as well. And this is the game that they play against either Texas or Xavier. So, Yancey, you're up first on this one.
Illinois.
Cody?
Illinois.
Dustin?
I'm going to say Xavier.
I'm also going to say Xavier. Yeah. Okay. Number 3, Kentucky. This is Mark Pope's first season. Remember, he was the BYU coach last year. He's going back to his alma mater. He's coached Kentucky. They've defeated 8 top 15 teams this season to get back to number 3. They have 3 guys, Lamont Butler, Otega Owe, and Kobe Bree, who could all be playing in the NBA next season. That's how Kentucky rolls. And then Troy Trojans, they're just in their 3rd NCAA tournament in school history. Their calling card is on defense. They hold opponents to 42.3% shooting. That's number 5 in the country. So they're a really good defensive team. Cody.
UK, go Wildcats.
Dustin.
Good luck on defense. Go Kentucky.
That's what I was thinking. Like, they'll play really good defense for the first 4 minutes.
There you go.
Yancey.
Yeah, we agree on this, I believe. Kentucky's going to beat their brains out.
Okay. 7, UCLA. They started 2-4. Then they won 11 of their next 14 games, including wins over Oregon, Arizona, Wisconsin, Gonzaga, and Michigan State. They've beaten some really good teams. Tyler Bilodeau shoots 41% from 3. That's one of the best in the country. Against Utah State, they're in the NCAA tournament for the 3rd straight season. They continue to find good players to restock the shelves. Ian Martinez, Mason Falstaff. They make this one of the best offenses in the country. This is Utah State was one of those teams that no one wanted to face because they're just really, really good on offense. Dustin.
I'll pick that upset. Aggies.
I won't. I'm going to go UCLA on this one. Yancey?
Bruins are going to pull it off.
And
a close
Cody.
game.
I'm splitting it. Aggies.
Okay. Number 2, Tennessee. At its worst, they got destroyed by Florida by 30 points. Then they turned around and beat the Gators by 20 a month later. So they've done them both. They have a lot of good players on this team, a well-rounded team for Rick Barnes, who a lot of people think he's going to retire at the end of the season. So he's trying to get a swan song for Tennessee. Wofford. The Wofford Terriers won all of their Southern Conference tournament games by an average of 13 points per game. This is their first tournament appearance since 2019. Over to me. Good on you, Wofford, but it's a quick tournament. Tennessee. Yancey?
Hi, bye, Wofford. I don't know why. It looks like my daughter drew their logo. I don't understand. Can you just make up colleges and say they're in the tournament now? I'm just gonna say I own a college and see if anybody denies me.
Cody?
Yeah, Tennessee.
And Dustin?
I'll say Tennessee. To comment on the logo, it's like they ask the guy, yeah, you can draw a terrier, right? He says, yeah, that's like a dog, right?
Yeah, that's like a dog.
Okay.
I don't know, it's dog-like.
We're starting with you this time. Houston and Gonzaga.
You said starting with me, you said?
No, with Yancey.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what are my choices?
Houston and Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
Okay. Clemson and High Point.
Clemson.
Illinois and Kentucky.
Okay.
UCLA and Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Okay. Gonzaga and Clemson.
Clemson.
Kentucky and Tennessee.
Oh, Kentucky.
And Clemson and Kentucky.
Clemson.
Okay. Cody, Houston and Gonzaga for you too.
That's Houston.
Clemson and Purdue.
Purdue.
Illinois and Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Utah State and Tennessee.
I do think it'll be a close one, but I'm going to go Tennessee.
Houston and Purdue.
Houston.
Kentucky and Tennessee.
Oof. Give me a second to figure this one out. Sorry. Let's go Kentucky, UK.
Okay, and then Houston and Kentucky to go to the Final Four.
As much as I want it, it's going to be Houston, I think.
Okay. Dustin, Houston and Georgia.
Houston.
Clemson and Purdue.
Clemson.
Xavier and Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Utah State and Tennessee.
There's my Cinderella, Utah State.
Ooh.
Wow. Houston and Clemson.
Say Clemson there.
Wow.
Take them down.
Kentucky and Utah State.
Kentucky.
And Clemson and Kentucky.
Kentucky.
For me, I've got Houston and Gonzaga. Houston wins that one. I've got Clemson and Purdue. Clemson. Xavier and Kentucky. I am taking Xavier. UCLA and Tennessee. I am taking Tennessee. Houston and Clemson. That's a Houston. Xavier and Tennessee. Guess what, guys? Cinderella team, Xavier.
Wow.
And then, but then it ends because Houston beat Xavier. Okay.
Chattanooga and Mid Tennessee are within 2 with 10 seconds left.
Is that an NIT game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This game right now, North Carolina is up by 20. It's 31-13.
Wow. Okay. That wasn't expected for me. Okay, last bracket. Florida. They have the third best offense in the country. Walter Clayton is a lottery pick this coming draft. They average 84.8 points per game. That's pretty dang good. Norfolk State, their third NCAA tournament appearance in 5 years. Brian Moore, 18.5 points, 41% from three, one of the best players Norfolk State has ever had. We're starting with Cody. Florida and Norfolk State.
Yeah, Florida.
Whoops. Instead of UF, I wrote FU.
Well, geez, I thought we were allowed to pick the teams we like, Scott.
Okay, so I'll go Norfolk State, I guess. I mean,
Hey,
goodness.
whoever you want me to pick.
Didn't mean to
Your
offend you there,
podcast.
Scott.
How you were asking.
Dustin?
Florida.
UF.
FU too, Dustin.
Yeah.
I'm also taking Florida. And Yancey?
Yeah, they may not do school good, but basketball works. Florida.
Okay. UConn. The two-time defending national champions. They just haven't had the same sort of success this season. 23-10. They were the number one overall seed last year. They've won their back-to-back championship. They think they can do it again, pull off that three-peat, but they have a tougher road to go this time. Against Oklahoma, who finished 6-12 in the SEC, but that shows how good the SEC was, not how bad Oklahoma was. This is a good team with a top 10 pick leading the way. Over to Dustin.
UConn. You can't convince me.
I'm also taking UConn. Yancey?
Yeah, I don't see the Sooners doing it. I'm with you guys on the Huskies.
And Cody.
Hit the broom, sweep it.
All right. Memphis. Yes, their head coach is that same Penny Hardaway. He's the head coach of Memphis. He took Memphis to the Elite Eight as a player, and this squad is as good as any in Memphis history. They have a top 50 defense and number 6 3-point shooting team. CSU, both of my alma maters are in the tournament this year. The CSU has lost 3 games since December 28th. They have one of the best offenses in the country. 58% from 2, that's 17th. 40% from 3, that's 6th. Nick Clifford could become an NBA star. This is a tough matchup for both teams, I think. Over to me. Notwithstanding that it's my alma mater, I'm still taking Memphis. Yancey.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Penny Hardaway's a winner. Memphis.
Cody.
I'm gonna actually go Colorado State here.
Okay. And Dustin.
I'll say Memphis. I think it's kind of a game of whoever makes the most threes wins.
Yeah. No kidding.
I honestly thought you were gonna say whoever makes the most points at first. I was like, oh really?
Number 4, Maryland. What I've been seeing is if you're looking for a Cinderella team, this is it. Maryland, they have Julian Reese. He's the brother of Angel Reese here at the University of Maryland. Derek Queen is also a projected lottery pick. They've won 11 of their 13 games to finish. They're a sleeper Final Four pick. Grand Canyon, under Bryce Drew, they've been a consistent non-power conference power. They defeated St. Mary's in last year's tournament. They're really good. Maryland and Grand Canyon, over to Yancey.
Quick question before I choose.
Mhm.
Is Julian Reese also underperforming and then choosing to strike? Or is that...
Well,
That's
that
just
would be
his
if he goes
sister.
to the NBA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry. Um, you know, let's pick the Lopes for upset in this one, actually. Why not?
All right, Cody.
So, I mean, you said that Maryland would be a Cinderella. Can a 4 seed really be a Cinderella? I don't.
Maybe
see
not
it.
maybe not a Cinderella, but a sleeper Final Four pick. You don't pick many 4s to go to the Final Four.
Okay. I'm gonna, I'm gonna side with Yancey here. I'm gonna go with the Lopes.
Okay, Dustin.
I'll say Maryland.
I will also say Maryland. Okay, last one. Mizzou. Last year they lost 19 straight games to end the season. Now they're in the tournament. They're 22-11. So another great turnaround along with Louisville. Drake have forced turnovers on 22% of their opponent's possessions. That's one of the best in the country. They've won 30 games, 30-3. Drake. They are scary to face. So 6-11. Over to you, Cody.
Oh crap. Okay. I need a minute here. Yeah, I'm gonna call it Drake.
Okay. Dustin.
I'll take that upset.
Are we having brooms? Because guess what? I'm taking the upset. Drake. Nancy?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to argue with the numbers. Drake's gonna win.
Okay. Texas Tech. JT Toppin is a superstar. The Red Raiders are the only Big 12 team to have beaten Houston this year. They are number 10 in offense efficiency. They've made 37% from 3. I say watch out. UNC Wilmington Seahawks, 27-7, first NCAA tournament appearance in 8 years. They've been a top 50 offense. They're shooting 56% from 2. They've gone 15-2 since this January 16th. Dustin.
Tech.
I am also taking Tech. Yancey.
Taking Tech.
And Cody.
Texas Tech.
Okay, KU. They have all the talent any coach could want. Hunter Dickinson is a legitimate NBA prospect. DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams were on the team that won the title back in 2020. But they're lacking some crucial ingredient this year. They're just not winning the games that they should. And Arkansas, John Calipari, if you all remember, went to Arkansas. and he has a team of 5-star prospects, but a lot of injuries have happened on this Razorbacks team. It's been a bumpy ride. As they get healthy, they could be dangerous. So Kansas and Arkansas, it is over to me. I am taking KU to win this one, though. Yancey?
Jayhawks are historically a pretty well-coached team. I'll have to pick them.
Okay. Cody?
I'm also taking the Jayhawks.
Dustin?
Wow. I'm gonna have to just flip it just to be different. Arkansas.
Okay. And last one, St. John's, Rick Pitino. He's back, and he's coaching St. John's now. And he's proven once again he's one of the best coaches in the country. They're taking a team that shoots under 30% from three, and they won 30 games. And that's because their defense is number 3 in the country. They have the number 1 3-point defense in the country. They hold teams to 31.8% from three. And Omaha Mavericks, their first ever NCAA tournament appearance. They were picked to finish 8th in their conference out of 9 teams. But they're back, or they're in the tournament for the first time ever. Yancey.
Yeah, hi bye Omaha. St. John's is going to win this.
Cody? Sorry.
So you could basically say that Omaha is the basketball version of ASU from last season. I'm going to say St. John's.
Mm-hmm. Dustin?
Johnny, be good.
And me too, St. John's. Okay, so last little bit. Cody, we're starting with you. Florida and UConn. Whew.
I'm calling the upset there, UConn.
F-U. Colorado State and Grand Canyon, 12 versus 13.
Colorado State.
Okay, Drake and Texas Tech.
Tech.
Kansas and St. John's.
St. John's.
Okay, UConn and CSU.
I'm gonna go CSU still.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Texas Tech and St. John's.
Tech.
And then CSU and Tech.
Tech.
Okay. Dustin, Florida and UConn.
Florida.
Memphis and Maryland.
I'll say Memphis there.
Drake and Tech.
I'll call that again. Drake.
Wow.
Arkansas and St. John's.
St. John's.
Florida and Memphis.
Memphis.
Drake and St. John's.
St. John's.
And Memphis and St. John's.
St. John's.
My turn. Florida and UConn. I'm siding with Cody here. UConn has the magic still. Memphis and Maryland. I'm going to take Maryland on that one. Drake and Tech. I'm going to side with Dustin and take Drake into the Sweet 16. Kansas and St. John's. I'm taking St. John's. UConn and Maryland. I'm going to take Maryland. Drake and St. John's. The Cinderella story ends there. St. John's wins that one. But then St. John's goes to the Final Four, beating Maryland. Yancey, Florida and UConn.
Gators.
Memphis and Grand Canyon.
Memphis.
Drake and Tech.
They not like us. Tex.
Kansas and St. John's.
St. John.
Florida and Memphis.
Memphis.
Texas Tech and St. John's.
St. John's.
And then Memphis and St. John's.
St. John's.
Okay. Last little bit for everybody. We're going to start where we started this whole thing. Dustin, you have a Michigan State versus St. John's Final Four.
I'll go with Michigan State.
Your other one is Duke and Kentucky. That's Blue Bloods.
Yeah, Duke.
And then Michigan State and Duke. That's a rematch from a national championship game from 25 years ago, I think.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say Duke. Cooper Flag wins it.
Okay. What's your score?
Let's go 81-73.
Okay. My turn. I have Michigan State against St. John's. I'm also taking Michigan State. Duke and Houston. Dustin, I'm taking Duke. I have a Duke, Michigan State, and I also have Duke winning it.
Wow.
And I'm taking 78-74. Yancey, Michigan State, St. John's.
State.
Wow.
Goodness.
Duke and Clemson.
What the?
Dang. Duke.
You have the same exact as the other two of us, Michigan State and Duke.
Can't help it. State.
All right. And what's your score?
Close. Let's go 86-82.
Okay. Cody, you're going to be different.
Different.
Auburn and Texas Tech.
That's going to be Texas Tech.
And Alabama and Houston.
That's Houston.
And then Texas Tech and Houston, a Big 12 championship for the national championship.
That's going to be Houston.
And your score?
That's going to be 72-69.
All right. That is everything. We're finishing up right on time. I will not be here for the next 2 weeks, so I'm going to have to take some pictures of these and send them over to you. I will send you, or I'll take pictures of it as I mark it down to whatever. And you guys will talk about these, and I'll send you my comments as well. Here's to a great March Madness. Let's check in on the game going on right now. Like you said, Dustin, North Carolina was killing them. They still are. They are doubling them up right now, 44-22.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, I mean, San Diego State's defense has not been great, but even worse than that is their offense. Only scored 22 points in the half.
Yeah, because
That's embarrassing.
It's going to be halftime in 30 seconds, and they've scored less than 25 points. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good March Madness, everyone, and we'll talk.
Good pod, boys.
See ya.